Hello, I hope that you're doing okay. Here's a story: The Young Man and the Sea Maid. There was once a young man in the island of Crete, whose chief joy was to sit alone by the side of the sea and play on his lyre. So sweet was the music which he drew from the strings that the very sea seemed to grow calm and come whispering up the beach to listen. On one such day of perfect summer, when he sat playing by the blue, still water, there came up from the depths a sea maid. She rested on a rock and listened for a while, with shining eyes. Then she slipped back beneath the waves, only to return presently with many other sea maids who listened with her to the wonderful music. Day after day they came to listen, and the young man would sit with the sea maids round him playing of his very best. And when winter came, and the sea grew dark and rough, the sea maids led him to a cave where the wind and the cold could not enter, so that he could play to them still. As time passed, the young man grew to love the sea maid who had found him first, and he sought to win her love in return. But when he spoke of such things, she would shake her head and plunge into the sea. At last, things grew to such a pass that life was not worth living without her, and he felt that he would die if he could not win the sea maid whom he loved. So he went up to the great mountain in the middle of the island to visit a wise woman who lived there in a cave, and told her all the tale. "You must wait until the hour when night is paling into day, but before the first cock crows," said the wise woman. "Then seize your darling and hold her whatever happens until the cocks have crowed and the day has come. And whatsoever shape she may take, do not lose your hold, or she will be lost forever." Then the young man went back to the seashore, sat him down at the mouth of the cave as the sun was setting, and began to play, as he alone knew how. Very soon the sea maids came swimming up through the dark waves to sit on the rocks round about him and listen as if spellbound. And the beautiful sea maid, who was his love, came with them and sat not far from him, her chin in her hand and her eyes full of joy and wonder. All through the night he played, until the moon went down and the eastern sky began to gleam with the light of a new day. All was silent still, but he knew that it could not be long now before the first cock crew. So on a sudden he let fall his lyre and caught the sea maid whom he loved. "I love you alone," he cried, "and I will not let you go until you promise to be my wife." In a moment the other sea maids had slipped back into the sea, and he was alone with his love. But she, seeing that she could not pull herself from his hands, changed suddenly into a wild dog, biting and snapping savagely at him. Yet he held her still, and presently she became a hissing serpent, and after that a strong camel that kicked and bit. But he still held on, even when she turned into fire between his hands. Then suddenly the cocks crew, and in a little while she returned to her own lovely shape, put her soft hand in his, looked up at him with her eyes full of love, and suffered him to lead her away to his village, where they were married that day. So they set up house together and lived happily for more than a year, and a beautiful baby son was born to them. But all this while the woman from the sea spoke not one single word. And this began to prey on his mind until nothing in the world seemed worthwhile anymore unless he could make his wife speak. At last he went to the wise woman to seek a charm, and she told him the only way which, in an unhappy hour, he decided to follow. On his return to the cottage, he took his bag and the child and went to the door. "Unless you speak, I will take our son away." Then his wife sprang up crying, "Leave our child alone." And so saying, she snatched the baby from him and vanished with it in a flash. Back to the sea she went, but the sea maids would not have her amongst them any more, since she was now a mother. So she went to live in a spring of water beside a deep pool, not far from the cave to which the sea maids had come to hear the wonderful music. And there she remained, though the young man could never win her back. But once in every year he would glimpse her deep in the spring, as young and beautiful as ever. And there you may still see her if you chance to be in the lovely island of Crete, and find the pool and the spring on the one day in the year when she is visible to mortal eyes. The end. Thank you for listening. Have a lovely day or a pleasant evening. Take care of you.